As I said, I'm the chief director responsible for the entire conference, so I am directing the entire conference. But we have invited Mr. Simphiwe Mdlalose from Vision Communications to preside over our program for the day, and I'm going to hand over to him. Let me see whether the signal is there. I have the signal that he is around. Let's invite him to preside on our program. Mr. Simphiwe Mdlalose, let's welcome him, please. Yo, strange story. This is a big man. How did I forget him? Councillor Molefi Morake, the member of the mayoral committee of Mangaung. He is representing the mayor this morning to welcome all of us in the city. I nearly lost my citizenship in Mangaung. My apologies. That day, Molefi Morake, it was not intentional. I just missed it in terms of my list here. My apologies. So let me hand over to Simphiwe. Thank you very much.
DG, thank you so much. I also feel very, very happy to be here. And now that we have introduced Councillor Morake, I feel at home too. So I was almost chased out. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Simphiwe Mdlalose. I'm going to be your director for the program these 2 days, and I'm sure we're going to have a wonderful and fantastic time. When you do a program in church, it's always advisable to quote from the scriptures. Am I correct? We are in a conference called the 4IR. There's a man who has now come to be known as the godfather of 4IR, who's Klaus Schwab, professor. He wrote a book which is, I think, referred to now as the Bible of the as we begin these proceedings. He said, quote, "Shaping the fourth industrial revolution to ensure that it is empowering and human-centered rather than divisive and dehumanizing is not a task for any single stakeholder or sector or for any one region, industry or culture. The fundamental and global nature of this revolution means it will affect and be influenced by all countries, economies, sectors, and people. It is therefore critical that we invest attention and energy in multi-stakeholder cooperation across academic, social, political, national, and industry boundaries. These interactions and collaborations are needed to create positive, common, and hope-filled narratives, enabling individuals and groups from all parts of the world to participate in transformation." Close quote. Klaus Schwab, from the fourth industrial. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a fantastic and a great morning in Bloemfontein this morning. And I wanted, as we start, we always want to do this at the end, but I want us to reflect on today's proceedings and take an opportunity to reflect on the words that I just read. It says it will take cooperation and a multi-stakeholder process to ensure that 4IR is a success. So as we begin these proceedings, I would like all of us to put our hands together for ourselves, for being the people that are referred to, for being the academics that are being referred to, and also, most importantly, for our leaders who are creating an enabling environment for all of us to be here. So let's put our hands together in acknowledgement. Well, without any further ado, it's an honor and a privilege for me to welcome on stage the Councillor Morake, who is in the Metro Municipality. Over to you, Sam.
Good morning. You are welcome here in Mangaung, the City of Roses. Today we are going to deal with the issue that it has been discussed everywhere. But before that, let me observe the protocol. The Honorable Premier, the MECs, the Director General, the Commissioners, the media, the student present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great honor and privilege to address you on behalf of the first citizen of our city, Executive Mayor, Councillor Matawan Olimlamledi. Today we are dealing with a very delicate subject that is more often misconstrued or associated with the most vulnerable individual in the society, especially the youths and the youths in general. But it affects all of us gathered here. This particular concept of the fourth industrial revolution has become a buzzword in our daily usage of language. Whether there is consensus in characterizing the current wave of change as a revolution or not, I cannot tell, but we are the dawn of the fourth industrial revolution. It is inevitable impact reminds me of what certain psychologists said. Dr. Kevin Lemon once said about the character of the firstborn child and the stating, Mom and Dad may think they are in charge, but the firstborn knows better. So does the youngest siblings. The same thing is happening to us, the elderly ones, as we often think we are in charge. But this generation, which could be characterized as firstborns of the fourth industrial revolution, are always smarter than us. As the asprosim goes, if you cannot beat them, join them. We are gathered here this morning not only to join the firstborns, but to catch the wave of the fourth industrial revolution. As was the case, the other revolution or waves, the fourth industrial revolution bring about shifting power, wealth and knowledge. The honors rest upon us to position ourselves strategically as a nation to adapt accordingly as the power, wealth and knowledge shift. Perhaps to emulate Professor Alvin Toffel when he said, I prefer to use the word wave instead of the word revolution. By this, I am defending any philosophical stance. But as a wave bring new found to shore and take ships out of the sea for servicing, we are relying on the wisdom of all members of the Presidential Commission on the Fourth Industrial Revolution to help us to take full advantage of the opportunities presented by the digital industrial revolution. Now that we have already entered the dawn of the fourth industrial revolution, we are facing the challenge of being able to explain in a simple terms such that impact on its speed, scale, complexity, and transformation power are understood by ordinary citizens. To Professor Henk Diedagen, as we sit here, we may not even understand the effect of this revolution on our local communities and economies. But as the principal of the university, We are glad that you managed to postpone your important engagement to be with us today. As Mangaung, today we are going to have a council where we will be adopting what we call the fourth utility. So we are moving to be maybe one of the smart cities of the world. So today we are going to develop more policies on this, the fourth industrial revolution. So we are taking it as a council item so that we are not left behind. So we are going to put effort. We are going to put efforts to make sure that all our citizens they benefit from this. That is why we have organized on this day, the Premier is discussing this. At 3 o'clock, you can go to our chambers. We will be passing the proposal or the founding document on the fourth utility, where we are going to regulate the issue of the fiber, the data, the solar panels, the boreholes, and many other things that are of importance in the current period. Because the days where electricity and water are service generating kind are gone. So there are a number of innovations that are there outside. So we need also to accommodate in terms of our policies and programs those. But with those few ways, you are all welcome, and please share the knowledge so that all of us who are becoming part of the new future of the fourth industrial revolution.
Thank you so much, Councillor Omurake, a member of the Mayoral Council at the Mangaung Metro Municipality. Now that we have been welcomed, may I kindly make a few announcements. The first one is around the free Wi-Fi. If you want to access the free Wi-Fi, it's called the Cell C Express Wi-Fi by Facebook. Cell C Express Wi-Fi by Facebook. Once you load in your number, they will send you an OTP. And once you have that OTP, you will then have access to the free Wi-Fi. Let me repeat again. It's Cell C Express Wi-Fi by Facebook. You log in your cell phone number, they will send you an OTP. Once you put in that OTP, it will then allow you access. The second thing that I just want to make is an announcement briefly. We're in a conference, which is a 4IR conference. It's important for us to trend. Who believes that you're going to trend? Okay, now, I'm worried because those who believe we're going to trend are so few. So may I request all of us to participate in this process. I want the world to know that here in the Free State, we are doing this wonderful process. The only way the world will know is if you and I participate. The reason why we have free Wi-Fi is to enable you to log in into your Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Let the world know. If you don't know what to tweet about, you can take a photo of me. I promise you will trend. Okay, the third thing that I just want to announce, later on, in fact, we are hoping that once our screens are up, that we'll also talk about the app. There's an app that has been developed specifically for this session and for this summit. But in the meantime, please do try to go to the website, which is a Free State 4IR summit.org. So our hashtag for the day, for those who want to tweet, it's hashtag FS 4IR Summit 19. Hashtag FS 4IR Summit 19 as in 19. Well, with those few announcements, let's carry on with our program. I'm about to welcome on stage the MEC for Education here in the Free State, who's going to give us the purpose of the summit. But before he comes here, I just want to read a quotation from Mandela. MEC, Mandela said, "It is in your hands to create a better world for all who live in it." I believe this is a challenge that you will tell us as part of the purpose for today, that Free State as a province is responding to that. You are making a better world for all of us to live in it. So ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together as we welcome on stage Dr. Tate, MEC for Education.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Program. Thank you so much, Program Director. Thank you very much, Premier, for your vision in the State of the Nation, the State of the Province address, for organizing this event. The Presidency of South Africa is also here. People from the President's office are here. EXCO colleagues, academics and professors, and all our international guests. Today, we not only interact with South Africans, but we've got guests from Singapore, professors from Singapore, we've got professors from other countries, and in the African continent. So this is an international summit happening in province of the Free State in Queensland. Let me also thank the presence of the Mangaung Metro, and then all of you, thank you very much for attending. I was saying yesterday in the Executive Council that, you know, in our political parties, to have a crowd like this, we should have spent a lot of money with buses and so on. But to show that people really understand the fourth industrial revolution, all of you took yourselves here. We did not provide any transport for you to come here. So South Africa is indeed in the good hands. I also, Premier, want to recognize that young people are also here, but more important, we have identified and invited all the young people who have been in the top 100. Most of them who have graduated and those who are still to graduate are here. So that's why this thing is so important. And we want to inform our people of the province that this is an initiative coming from the Executive Council of the Free State. This is an initiative coming from the Premier. She always talks about unemployment amongst young people. And we then said, what is the ways, some of the ways to address and deal with these issues called unemployment? And I think all of us here seated, we are going to answer that question. All of us, by the time we end these sessions, we must be entrepreneurs. Because this is not a talk show. Yes. We are not here just to talk. We are here to identify opportunities. And even if you are working in your garage, to turn you around into a billionaire or a millionaire. I don't want 1,000 years from you. I think it is about time, especially us as South Africans, we must, as Mandela says, we must seize the opportunity. We must stop complaining. Because as you are complaining, the world is moving forward. Whether you understand 4IR or not, it's already there. Yeah. It is disruptive technology. It changes the way we work. It changes the way we relate. It's changing the court systems. It's changing the way we teach learners at schools. Because for the first time, Premier, working with organizations such as CLN, they are here. Young people, they are here, CLN. Young engineers, I think they are aeronautical engineers from WITS. working with some guy called Ajit. They've developed a platform. They call it an ecosystem, where we are able to give children tablets. But these tablets have got a lot of data and information in it. And you know, sometimes when I interact with these learners, when they tell me that, you know, because of this gadget, I used to get 10% in mathematics. Because of this gadget, I'm now getting 90% in mathematics. I now understand what is the fourth IR, fourth industrial revolution. So the aim today is not, as I said, a talk show. The aim today is to demystify the fourth industrial revolution. Simplify it. Let people understand it. And make sure that those who understand it can be able to seize opportunities that are there. We need to understand that we are already in that time of the fourth industrial revolution. Just yesterday, program director, I was watching, there's a program on TV, I think it's channel 181, where they talk about Europe from outside. They are talking Europe and they're looking at technological developments in Europe. I was shocked. I was watching Netherlands yesterday. And in Netherlands, there's two farmers, brothers who are farming. They used to produce 2,000 heads of lettuce per year. But using fourth industrial revolution, that has transformed completely. Now 2 people running a farm, they're producing 10 million lettuce heads per year. So it's now profitable. I wish I could have taken the video of that thing, where you see robots working in a farm, where you see that we are no more waiting for the rain. We create conditions, but they are not waiting for summer. In those hot houses, they can be able to create summer conditions. That's what fourth industrial revolution gives us. It's an opportunity for us to be able to change the way we have been doing. We want here to say to all of you, I don't want any of you to leave today or tomorrow, after tomorrow, without having identified a critical opportunity that you can run. We want you to be able to identify that opportunity. The professors are there. There's tons and tons of research documents at universities. Now this session, we want those documents to be used so that they can create jobs in the province of the Free State. We want the young people of this province to succeed in the fourth industrial revolution. You know, I know that there's a joke, fortunately the minister is not here. There's a joke that, it's not a joke, actually it happened in Parliament, where the Deputy President was asked, if you talk about the fourth industrial revolution, which ones were the first, second, and third? Hey man, it was so painful. And then, because they did not write that for him, right? But now, it makes us go out to go and check, right? What is this fourth industrial revolution? For some of you who are like me, or who are like the president, the deputy president at that time, you must know that the first industrial revolution is a revolution because it changes the way life has been going. That's what a revolution means. Radical change in the way life goes. The first revolution, obviously, people will talk about it. I'm not going to be long. But the first revolution has been the steam revolution, where steam was used to change and develop machines and took people out of agriculture into factories and so on and so on. The second revolution became when electricity was born, where electricity now changes the way things were working and automation started, right? Even some of these robots, these big arms robots, started at that time, right? The third revolution, obviously, became the digital revolution.
Now, why am I raising all these issues? It is because in all the revolutions, we as Africans in particular, we are known to have been spectators. You know, there are even people sometimes who brag. You know, why do you talk about fourth industrial revolution when we have not even passed the second one? It's good to say that, but the truth is, we are there now. So we don't want in the fourth industrial revolution, free staters, young people, you must be spectators. We want you to be players. We want you to go in there, try something, succeed, fail, whatever. We will be behind you as the province of the Free State. We have agreed. We have agreed with the university, Central University of Technology. I think they are very vibrant. Central University of Technology, when it comes to ICT and the fourth industrial revolution, they are very, very vibrant. And I think you also will also come to party. But we have agreed that we are going to put seed money. So this is not a talk show. After this, we are going to establish an innovation hub. We as the province of the Free State, we will put money at the university to make sure that some of your inventions and your products are scalable and are commercialized, because we want you to succeed. We've already agreed with the Treasury that initially before March, end of March, we will put an amount of 5 million rand to ensure that that innovation hub succeeds. Because we understand, as South Africans, we understand as the province of the Free State, that human beings are the most important assets that we have. So we must give you support, we must give you skills, we must give you the confidence and the resilience to change the Free State economy. We don't want, in 5 years' time, to come back and say our unemployment is still 20-something%. I dream, Premier, that when you finish your term, the next 5 years, we must be able to say unemployment has been defeated in the province of the Free State. And we'll have there's going to be breakaway groups. There's going to be high inventors in those breakaway groups. There's going to be professors in those breakaway groups. Please don't leave here without a business card. Don't leave here without knowing who's going to support your idea. Don't leave here without interacting with a person that can actually help you to deal with these issues. I want to say, Premier, that after this conference, the Free State will never be the same. With all of you, I've got full confidence in you that today it is a change in the digital economy in our province. And young people are going to be the ones leading that revolution. People will one day, 20 years later, look at this conference and say, that was a watershed conference. And that depends on you. Thank you very much.
Once again, Dr. Tate, Mahwe, thank you so much for those powerful and wonderful words and promises. Thank you. Thank you so much, Doctor. We truly appreciate it. Now, I have been informed that one of our guests is around, but before perhaps I get a sign, we're all waiting for a sign these days. I've got to share this before I allow the next speakers to come through. You know, as Dr. Tate was speaking here, I was thinking that in a world that we're going into, where robots, automation, and artificial intelligence is going to grow, you and I as human beings are going to crave what I call customer experience and human interaction. Isn't that so? Think about it. I mean, we're already hearing, in fact, I'm not sure if you've noticed that 4IR has arrived. there's some people like myself who are in the industry of speaking. We are slowly now losing some of the jobs we used to do. It's true, because you will remember that before you will receive a phone call and there'll be my voice on the other side and I'll be talking to you as a telesales operator. Am I correct? But now what's happening, if you have noticed, you and I receive this phone call, you click the phone, and on the other side is a voice that says, if you die tomorrow, have you made your plans? So there's no one now who's giving you the interaction. It's now just a recorded voice. And it ends by saying, if you don't have a plan, press 4 now. And if you don't press that 4, you're hung up. It means you're angry, or maybe you do have a policy. It means another person who could have gotten a job is not there. Think about it. So you and I are going to create what I call a human interaction and customer experience as robotics, automation, and artificial intelligence grows. But I just want to throw a thought, inspired again by Dr. Mahwe, who said, think about an opportunity. Here are some of the opportunities I want to throw your way. Have you thought about the communication that is going to be required? Who's going to teach these robots to communicate? So maybe you have an opportunity to think about that. Emotional intelligence. Do robots have emotional intelligence? I don't know. But if they do, we'll hear about that. Strategy. Who's going to come up with strategies for companies? And perhaps you're a consultant, or you are thinking of consulting. The municipalities, the government departments are going to be looking for people who are going to help them with strategy as they interface with the world of robotics, automation, and intelligence, and artificial intelligence. People management. Now, I think a human being of the future, or in the very near future, you'll be in an office where the robots, perhaps in your office as staff members. Now, as we develop new HR policies, who's going to help companies? If a robot gives you a look, do you report it as... Think about it. If a robot gives you a look, and you go to HR and you said, that robot gave me a look, who's going to develop the new HR laws of the future? Perhaps you're in the HR space. Think about it. It sounds like a joke, but it's real. Stakeholder interactions. In our board meetings, perhaps the future scribers of our board meetings are robots. Now, there are people who are going to sit in boards who have never been trained. Who's going to train board members on how to interact with robots? Because our scribe, our new secretary, no longer speaks. He just, or she, or whatever you call the robot, they just take notes. And of course, creativity, entrepreneurship, analysis and decision-making, cognitive abilities, systems skills, complex problem-solving skills are going to be something that you, perhaps sitting here in this room, are going to come up with solutions to. And of course, process skills, resource management skills, technical skills, and lastly, physical skills. So perhaps, Doctor, thank you so much for giving us food for thought. But you have assisted us to start thinking broadly, because not all of us who are sitting here are going to be, systems developers, or going to be, guys who are going to write programs or develop programs. But maybe as beautiful as you are, you've got an HR solution that the world is going to need. So good luck to you. I'm going to allow an opportunity, the next 20 minutes, and I must just say we were hoping that the presentation were going to be projected, but please don't worry, the presentations are going to be put in the website, Free State, 4irsummit.org. That website will have all the presentations that are going to be made this morning. So please don't stress, you will find the presentation. I'm going to allow from the Central University of Free State 2 speakers who are going to come one after the other. The first one is Prof. Henk Diache, who is the Vice Chancellor at the Central University of Free State, who's going to speak to us on 4IR landscape in the Free State. And he'll be followed by Professor Dion De Beer, who's coming from the Center for Rapid Prototyping and Manufacturing, and he will address the changing lives and changing faces with us. So they're going to come one after the other. I'm not going to introduce, once Prof. Diache has come through, the other prof will follow him and will listen and give them a hearing. And hopefully you and I will be making notes frantically and interacting with their presentations. And once again, their papers and their presentations are going to be available for you. So let's put our hands together as we welcome on stage Prof.
Good morning, Dumelang, Bolo, Salmona, Goeiemorgen. You know, I'm so excited about this 4IR summit. I almost want to say, Viva Free State Province, Viva! Viva! But my Premier said to me, this is not a political gathering. This is a serious issue, so I must behave. Sorry, my Premier. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a challenge because I've prepared a PowerPoint. The intention was to make it more visual. So I will have to innovate. We are in fact in the 4IR revolution. So I will try to translate them from the PowerPoint on what I was supposed to say. So let me also say greetings to you all. Groetani almal, Kea Dumidisa, Bosne, Kaufela. And to our friends from China, Wen Hao, Sao Yu Ren. Thank you for the acknowledgement, but I don't think that was imperfect, maybe 60%. But in the absence of our Minister of Communication and Digital Technologies, Honorable Stella Ndabedi-Abrahams, our Honorable Sissin Tombela, Premier of the Free State Province, Honorable Kajida Brown, MSc Finance, Honorable Dr. Tait Magwe, our MSc for Education, the Honorable, in absence, Honorable Oli Mlamleli, the Executive Mayor of Mangaung Metro, and our acting executive mayor, Councillor Molefi Morake, the DG of the Free State Province, Mr. Kupong Radikonsane, Professor Chris Adendorf, Commissioner of the Presidential Commission, Professor C. Ramakrishna, he's sitting there somewhere at the back. Prof, I can see you. The visiting professor of the Central University of Technology and from the National University Singapore, and one of the top 3 world leaders in his field in the world. To all dignitaries, presenters and delegates. So on my presentation briefly, I will touch and try to save a few minutes also on the phases, and I think that has been addressed already, the use of artificial intelligence in education, in 4IR in higher education, and the current research at CUT, which of course is visual. I think, ladies and gentlemen, our MSc of Education already addressed the 4 industrial revolution stages, which I will then not go into detail. But there's a lot of debate, and I've noted that Dr. Magoe said it's indeed a revolution. And there's a lot of debate among some academics, is it a revolution or is it an evolution? I'm of the view that as a country, we were not spectators in the 3rd industrial revolution or industry 3.0. If you think of the inventions in our country, in the areas, for example, of robotics, of artificial intelligence, you will find really world research initiatives at industry as well as at some of the universities. At your university, as I always say to our Premier, CUT is a public university, it's the people, it is the university for the people of this province. You will find, as Prof. De Beer will indicate to you, a world-class center in additive manufacturing. I think what the 4th Industrial Revolution is saying to us is we need to work together as a collective, and I will come back to that earlier on. My next slide was basically to argue for that everybody and everything is networked. It means it is linked. And whatever technologies you're using, the one is speaking to the other. And again, in my conclusion, I would like to use the same analogy for us as a group here present today. The technologies for the 4IR, and again, the professors are the experts in this field, and certainly I'm not an expert, but you will find that there's an intervention, sorry, there's a 4IR intervention. I've been fired, sorry. It was nice talking to you, I might be back.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are trying to sort out the technical part because we feel that the information that must be shared is quite critical. So, in the meantime, I request that you chat to your neighbor. Perhaps that deal that Dr. Jaffer spoke about, please don't get out of the room. Just have a chat inside the room. We're going to take at least about 3 to 5 minutes, hopefully, as we try to resolve this. And once you're ready, we'll resume the presentations. Thank you for your patience. Thank you so much for your patience. Our guests will be sitting on the other side, so we will proceed with the presentation, and then they'll come later when the presentations are done. So I hand over back to Prof. So over to you, sir. Let's give him a round of applause.
You remember that movie from Arnold Schwarzenegger? At the end he said, "I will be back." So colleagues, I was not fired. It was just delayed, so that's the presentation, and then the colleagues that are recognized. And the overview that I will now just skip over, and I think I was busy talking to this slide on my own interpretation of is it the revolution, is it the evolution, and what I believe South Africa has achieved during the Industry 3.0. And this was the slide that I indicated that everybody and everything is networked. And that is not only applicable to technology, but also to us as human beings. And this one is then, you will recall I mentioned that the professors are the experts in this field. But a very brief summary of the technologies for the 4IR is in the cyberspace, as you can see there, the physical and then the biological. I would love that Dr. Tait Magwe must see this slide, because that is the one that he has spoken to, the use of artificial intelligence in education in our schools, primary as well as secondary level. And again, you can see just 4 examples that are applicable. And I think it is critical that I had a discussion this morning with Professor Chris Arendorf, that as a collective, we need to strengthen our schools in the 4IR technologies. And that is where it should start. We cannot look only at the MSc and his team, but it should be a collective effort as a province. Then I think there are a couple of implications for the 4IR, especially around the universities. I think I might have been fired again, just 1 second.
Prof, I promise you this is the last time. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor, the Minister of Communications, is also here. Can we kindly rise for her as she comes in with the delegation? Minister Ndabeni Abrahams. Thank you so much. Honorable Minister, Minister Ndabeni Abrahams, you are welcome. At your arrival, we're at the stage of the program where Professor Henk Diacher, who is the Vice Chancellor and Principal at the Central University of Free State, was giving us a presentation on the status or the state of 4IR in the province. So you came right on time. So you are most welcome, and thank you for being here. Over to you, Prof. Thank you.
So I'm back again. I've been fired twice, Honorable Minister, this morning. But I said I'm that the movie Arnold Schwarzenegger, at the end he said, "I will be back." So, but let me recognize on a serious note the Honorable Minister Stellan Ndabeni-Abrahams, Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies. It's wonderful to have you with us, Minister.
And I have recognized the other dignitaries earlier when we had some technology challenges. And I would just like to acknowledge once again our Honourable Premier, Honourable Sissin Tumbela. And Premier, just to say that, as I've said, Honourable Minister, Viva Free State, Viva, that this is really an exceptional day under the leadership of our Premier and of course with the blessings and support from your office. I will then skip the overview, and I've already addressed the 4 phases as Dr. Tait Magwe already alluded to it. And then again, just indicated that everybody and everything is network, also us as humans. I have addressed the technologies within the 4IR briefly and mentioned that the professors followed after me, they are the real experts. And again, our MSc of Education, in his address this morning, he made mention of artificial intelligence within the education space. And MSc, I just said it in my second attempt, that we can't look at the MSc and say this must be at schools and at primary as well as secondary. It is a collective effort where everybody in this room will take hands with our province and our MSc of Education and his team, ensure that we embrace these technologies at primary, secondary school level already. And then it was, this slide is the implications of 4IR for higher education, but there's some hope in this slide. The first one, of course, is what we always heard, that the robots will take over our jobs. But the second point there, ladies and gentlemen, is the one that gives me a lot of hope. And that is the skills that a machine will not be able to do. And maybe my professor, Siram Ramakrishna, would have a different argument from National University Singapore. And that is creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship, critical thinking skills, social perception. Our MSc mentioned emotional intelligence. I'm not sure if robots can have emotional intelligence. Inter and personal skills, design and working in teams. But what is important to us as universities, and for that matter, our teachers at school, is there should be radical change in what is taught and how it is taught. And critical number 4 is that e-proficiency is a necessity. And that will enable us through data collection and analysis. And the last one is the role of humans in the 4IR. Are we the followers or are we indeed the inventors? And my view is, ladies and gentlemen, Honourable Minister, we remain in charge. We develop those robots. Yes, some of the jobs will definitely become obsolete. But it is us as innovators with these set of skills that will be able to reposition our province and the world. This one is a very brief few slides on a broader perspective on what we're doing at the Central University of Technology in phases. We started with our local Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality on the whole concept of sustainable smart cities. I know my friends at the University of the Free State is working with us on this concept. Then we move it over to a smart farm at the CUT farm. You will later on see 1 or 2 slides. The third one is on the smart manufacturing. And the fourth is then we say, but if we aim for the smart city, let's start with the smart campus, learn from that, and then work with our executive mayor and their team together. But the hashtag there is important at the end of the slide. The interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary participation. I think gone are the days that you focus sitting in your own laboratory or your own office and you just focus on your own specific field that you are specializing in. Sustainable development and technology is critical. It must be a multidisciplinary environment that we're operating in. And then the cognitive science and computer-supported development is certainly a necessity. I will not go into detail, but this is typically what you would find in a sustainable smart city. And as been said this morning by Councillor Molefe, 3 o'clock this afternoon they will endorse a proposal to take Mangaung to this level. On this one is, we've then unpacked what we believe is a smart city, the sub-themes thereof. And for each of these, we have developed a very specific focus area. In energy is one, on sustainable energy, food and water security, Internet of Things. We're doing great work in drought prediction and soil investigations, cloud computing and big data, where we again use our smart farm concept. The autonomous robotics, which we will see 1 or 2 slides later. Additive manufacturing, that is this presentation that will follow after mine by Professor Dion de Beer. Then we focus on sustainable roads and transportation. And lastly, also a very exciting one is green construction, or the so-called smart construction. Examples then, and that is I think where we needed the picks, of 4IR at CUT for now, is the weather monitoring and farming, Internet of Things systems, the smart water management system on the right, left, energy, below, right, sorry, energy monitoring and analysis, and then top right, the Pricklebear project. Apparently my colleagues are telling me the machine will, through laser and many other technologies, will only pick those picky pears that are ripe and ready to be picked. So the machine will check and say, no, this one is not ripe, take the other one, leave that one. Amazing technology that they're doing on the CUT Smart Farm. This one is our solar project that we have at our Bloemfontein campus. And colleagues, you can see up front, is it that one there? Which is a 153 kilowatt plant, produce about 10% of our energy at this campus. Then you will see the CUT smart bins. My colleagues are telling me, Honourable Minister, apparently the bin is talking to you. I don't know if that is entirely correct and true. But you need to throw the correct rubbish into each of the bins. And the idea is then you monitor the bins through artificial intelligence, and it will tell you the level of the bins, what is in there, what is not, what shouldn't be there. And by doing that, then the focus is on proper waste management. The RGEMS humanoid on your left, this one is a wonderful, interesting project colleagues are doing. Smart quality inspection system, and then also the smart manufacturing unit that they're currently working on. This is basically a slide focusing on research into ethnobotany. And I included this slide for a very specific reason, that when we discuss 4IR, we sometimes think it is technologies only. But there are critical elements. In this field, the colleagues are doing research in local plants with medicinal properties. And that is part of our indigenous knowledge focus areas. It's part of our decolonization focus areas at universities. This one, I think what is interesting, and I'm sure Prof. Rabakrishna will also in his address later on address on the circular economy. There are opportunities within 4IR for the circular economy. I have only 2 examples, which is at our CUT Bloemfontein campus. The first one is our e-waste project, which is the dismantling of electronic equipment and therefore the recovering of materials for reuse. And this is a physical facility. It is just about 800 kilometers from here. We currently employ 5 people. And the idea is, of course, that you will reuse the metals, precious metals, within these electronic equipment. And if you might not know that next year, the Olympic Games, Japan will manufacture all the metals from e-waste that they've collected. The next one is the recycling of tires using technology in a much higher scale. And this is a project that we're currently busy developing at our Welkom campus in Matjhabeng. But I think the crux of my presentation is, and it was addressed this morning by the previous speakers, is as a country we face 4IR, but we still have major challenges in poverty and inequality in our country. And it is that balance, that how do we address that particular inequality status, and parallel to that, that we embrace the fourth industrial revolution. And we know our GDP per capita as a country where we're sitting in this particular slide, or the World Bank indicated the catch-up economies. And what is it that we can do as a collective to enhance this GDP per capita and ensure that, as been said this morning, that we reduce those people without jobs, grow our economy. So my question is, colleagues, and I'm almost done, can we address the economic imbalances, unemployment and inequality within the 4IR? And I would like to argue again for the role that universities can play and should play. And these are just a few bullets, and I will scan one or two. What is the purpose of a university? You have two universities on your doorstep, University of the Free State, Central University of Technology, and also with 3 campuses across the province of the two universities, is creating new generations of intellectuals, and I've added for the 4IR, because that is our mandate. New knowledge for the 4IR, solving problems for the 4IR. Embrace our cities and communities as really the space where R&D should happen. And that will lead to the smart cities, and I would almost say the smart provinces. And building competitive and local provincial economies aligned with Industry 4.1. And I think the last 3 we can't lose sight of. Ladies and gentlemen, if we only focus now on artificial intelligence, but we neglect, with all respect, and our government is doing a fantastic job for the social grants. I think it's roughly about 18 million people that are receiving social grants, but we need to empower them. And they are the ones that we need to take hands and ensure that we address the inequality, the social, economic inequalities, and enhance our national social justice agenda with government. So this one is, I would like to start off with the old Ethiopian proverb who said, when spider webs unite, they can tie up a lion. And therefore, Honourable Premier, I would like to argue that today is just testimony of that, where we took hands together as many stakeholders with our province, under the leadership of our Premier, and we've delivered the 4IR Free State Summit. But going forward, everybody needs to work together. I believe we have the know-how, I believe we have the passion and the skills to not only challenge our inequalities, but ensure that the province is ready for the 4IR. But the roles of universities and our TVET colleges are critical in this regard, and for that matter, all the schools, including Dr. Magwe. The national-international collaboration, and it is wonderful that we have of our international partners present with us, especially around our BRICS countries, collaboration with international leaders, and to bring the experts, and they are here today. And we would like to commend you for responding positively to our call, and that we then as a province, and again there was a commitment made by our province, and Premier, congratulations and thank you once again to you and your executive team to commit to this innovation hub that must address the 4IR technologies, and that is in this innovation ecospace, resources to be intelligently managed as a collective here. Everyone has got a unique contribution to make. And then lastly, leveraging 4IR for the circular economy. But when I look back, maybe we all try, and everybody is trying to do something, but I think that is a dartboard, and some are actually centered. Well done to you. You're very focused. But as a collective, as all the role players, that maybe we're not all hitting the target. And maybe the reason is, and I would like to use the analogy of the V formation, and I think what will assist is the part up there, to say birds flying in V formation make fly much less trying. I think you all know this theory to say they're saving up to 70% energy, allowing to fly longer if they go in V formation. And the V formation greatly boosts the efficiency. And just my own, I'm in the province for 7 years, and there's wonderful success stories. But I would not like to include only provincial and local government, but industry, business, NGOs, the community at large. And I think we all know where we're going, sort of, individual efforts. And that is how I see we're moving to take the province forward. Everybody is committed. We know where we're going, but we're not coordinating well as a collective and as universities to be active involved with our provincial and local governments. So I would like to argue that for us to be ready as the Free State province, that we go the V formation. And if we can go the V formation and our Premier will lead us, that all partners will follow in the V formation. And you can see again the analogy on top, that 70% of that energy which we can reuse again and reinvent. And then, Honourable Premier and Honourable Minister, that is what's supposed to say there is Free State province. On the last one, where there's a whole flock of birds. And then the country will see that the Free State province is indeed ready, and we're moving as a collective to enhance the province. Each of the people within this province, and as a collective, that we will be able to support South Africa, and in particular our leadership, to ensure that we're ready for the 4IR. Thank you for the excellent minute. Must I introduce? So the MSc, the program director, gave me another job. So I would just like to introduce Professor Dion de Beer. He is a professor in additive manufacturing. He's currently the Department of Science and Technology Chair in Innovation and Commercialization of Additive Manufacturing at the Central University of Technology. Prof, over to you.
Thank you, Prof. Colleagues, I will try my best. I've been asked to try and slice my time by 50%. So I'm really going to touch on things and go deeper into other things and not stay with unnecessary things. The topic is changing faces, changing lives, because we found a particular niche market where we can help people and especially also address inequalities, but by bringing back their dignity. And I hope to give you an insight of what we're doing. So we follow the South African Additive Manufacturing Strategy, which was funded by the Department of Science and Technology, and we were part of that development. And on top, you can see that qualified additive manufacturing parts for medical and aerospace is top priority. But then we also look at the traditional industry, the impact thereon, new materials. We're currently in a collaborative project with the University of the Free State to develop such a new material for additive manufacturing. But we also understand that we must develop SMMEs and support them. And then if you look at the cross-cutting issues to do enabling capability development and develop an education system for additive manufacturing. Now, I'm really proud to say that our strategy in CUT is also focused on the support of the economy of the Free State. And in the very center of that, the second yellow line, you will see design, simulation, and modeling. And this is where additive manufacturing really touches on to the fourth industrial revolution, the so-called digital twin. So we just don't jump in and manufacture things. We design it well, we simulate it, we model it, we test it digitally before we actually build it. So by the time that we build it, it's a complete product. And this is a key part of the fourth industrial revolution, to really create digital twins. So I'll use our certification as point of departure and explain the typical models that we deal with. So we are ISO certified. Up to about 3 months ago, the only unit in Africa that is ISO certified, which means we can manufacture 4 implants anywhere in Africa, but also for the rest of the world. And we are busy growing that service. Now, typically what we do is, thank you. Typically what we do is we take a CT scan of a patient where the affected area is. In this case, it is cancer in the lower jawbone. And then we create a model from that CT scan, which will be used as a surgical planning model. Now, we are engineers, we are not clinicians. Then we interact with clinicians and we get the advice of what would be the best case for that specific patient, because we are doing patient-specific developments. So looking at that, we then, in one go, develop the cutting guides for the surgery. We develop the jigs and fixtures that in surgery, during surgery, will be fixed, in this case, to the jaw, so that the surgeon don't have to guess. There's no guessing here. We're talking 4IR, we're talking modeling and simulation, and exact cutting procedures. So in a fraction of the time, there is the cancerous part, it is the one that looks like a tennis ball, is removed, and the prepared part, which we've done in titanium, is then replaced, and we are now at the point where we can graft bone and use blood from the patient to fill that structure so that the patient can heal faster. Now, how does this benefit the economy? 50% less theater time, 50% less time in the hospital, the patient recovers quicker, there's a 90+% warranty of a success case, and so we save money in terms of medical cost, and we put people back in jobs where they belong. So the work that you will see was funded by the Fuchs Foundation. We're almost working on a non-for-profit basis at the moment, because we are dealing with people that comes from underprivileged communities, which would not be able to have these services available if it was offered in private hospitals. Now, if you just look at the different implants that we've developed, and if I say we, it means we are training our students, we are training our engineers to understand how to work with clinicians, to understand how to develop. Each of these are unique applications and unique designs. So it's not a repetitive thing, I've done this, so I'm doing it again. So each of this is an individual design, and each of this is for an individual patient. And for each of these cases, we're trying to better the quality of life of that patient and also change their life by changing their face. And one of our biggest problems at the moment is in the hospital registration system and finance system. This is seen as cosmetic surgery. And, this is where we need to come together as partners and address this, that it's fully understand that we are not doing cosmetic surgery. We are giving people the opportunity to feel free and live free again and be able to go out of their homes in their communities. So each of this is a different case, And as I say, we are developing expertise as we go along, and we are also learning significantly. That's part of our research, but also part of the training. Now you must understand the majority of those patients had mid-face cancer, which means that they lose their face in the process. And they will wake up after the cancer was removed, they will wake up without a face. And can you imagine the trauma and shock that that patient will have to go through? So we are solving that by creating a digital twin also of the face and creating a face for that patient. And if you look at some of these areas here, you will see the implant, but you will also see round dots. And that is magnets for which or by which a face can be clipped on. Here, for instance, you can see a patient without the face and there with the face. And this is done jointly. And it's, you know, one of those procedures that really give people their dignity back and open up and free them up to be free in their communities again. And it won't last forever, but we can do and redo that. Sorry, just pressed the wrong button. And then we're dealing with a lot of patients that either lost an ear due to fire. We know how many fires are in underprivileged communities, or which are born without ears. And we are also changing the lives of those patients by helping them to live a normal life. This boy in particular had no ears. And at the one stage he quitted going to school because he was mocked, you know, having a head without any ears. So we made ears for him, and it's actually very emotional that when they said that, the clinician asked him, how do you want your ears to look? He said, well, I've got no idea, I've never had ears, but I'll take my sister's ears. So we modeled his sister's ears for him, and he can now lead a normal life. And this is why we say, by changing faces, we can change also lives in the process. We do constant research and development. How much time do I have left? We do constant research and development, and this is also a local development where in-house, in theatre, we create these molds up front using CT scans, and then we use the cement that they fix bones, and like an injection mold pressing, we create a cranial plate in theatre, which is then, here you can see the size of that cranial plate. And previously this would have been impossible with a short operation. Since we have a little time, I'm not going to play you Princess's video, but Princess was shot when she was 17 years old. As she drove from her home, someone put a gun against the window and hijacked her. So he took her whole future and planning away. And piece by piece, we've helped to put Princess's face together again. And here you can see her smiling. And I wish you can see the the way in which, the confidence which she has when she did the video, that she really can live a normal life again. And again, this was made possible through a series of surgeries and implants. And I think this is unfortunately going to be my last show. So slideshow, I have 26 more to show you. So I hope there's an opportunity that we can one day fully discuss this with you, that you can see the impact. But to me, this is really a contribution to 4IR. We were given this case of a 7-year-old girl with a cyst behind the right eye, and the possibility as the cyst grows to lose her eyesight within 2 weeks. Now the complexity is that if you look at in this area here, it's a didactic cyst, and if in the removal of that, just one drop is spilled in the brain area, she will die on the surgery table. Now, this is typically a case for computer-guided surgery, but in local areas, we don't always have, and more especially rural areas, we will never have computer-guided surgery available. Now, to take someone like that to a hospital in Cape Town or Johannesburg or Pretoria may already exceed the time that they have left. So again, from the CT scan, which you can see here, we've developed a mask and guiding system for the clinician to use. And there you can see the procedure followed, drilling the cyst, removing the cyst. And this is the only mark on this little girl's face that was left. Previously, they would have had to open the skull, take the brain out, and then remove the cyst. If you don't have... And for some reason, mine was right, but for some reason, this one is upside down. But this was a few days after the surgery, and you can see that she... has fully regained her eyesight. And this is where I think I can echo what a previous speaker said before me. We cannot do it alone. We can do a part of it. And we can work with another part and another part. And so we become a team. And this team can take South Africa into the 4th IR and through the 4th IR and make a success of it. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
I think we must give Professor De Beer and the team another round of applause. I mean, they're doing amazing work, amazing work. My only concern is that I'm not sure if the world is aware. In fact, let me move aside, because it looks like we are back on the bigger, brighter screens. My only concern and the challenge to him and the rest of the school is let the world know the wonderful, great work we are doing here, right here in the Free State. So well done to the team. Thank you, Prof. Well, as we get ready for the next presentation, let me just remind you that we are not yet trending, which is a concern to me. I must just be honest. Please work with me. Work with me. And one of the things I'm going to be measured on is, did we trend? Now, if we didn't trend, I'm not going to get paid. So guys, please work with me. The free Wi-Fi is Cell C Express Wi-Fi by Facebook. Are you know? Oh, well, I mean, what do you mean, are you? Please. All right, I mean, please. I'm asking you very nicely. And then the hashtag we are using is hashtag FS4IR Summit 19. I must say thank you so much to all those who are already tweeting. I've seen your tweets, even though you did not tag me. Maybe my Twitter tag is @MdlalosA SS, @MDLALOSESS. Please tag me. You never know what you might get for tagging me. And there's been a plea to you, Madam Premier, that as a province we must do a V formation. You heard that one, right? So, Madam Premier, lead us. We need a V formation, not a disjointed effort. And I know that this is a beginning of that V formation, and with you in the front, we know. The guys ready? Okay, just before, Madam Minister, there was a study that was done by research done by Oxford University in 2013 when they were looking at the potential effects of 4IR. Now, they mentioned that the following jobs, I'm just going to take a few. They said these are jobs that are risky occupations having 98 to 99% chance of being automated in the future. Now, they mentioned the following jobs. They sell telemarketers. I've already spoken about that. You and I are living proof.
Here, members of the Executive Council, the mayors that are here, the councillors that are here. I've seen a few councillors are here in Tatemakalo. Our international guests who are here with us, to the vice chancellors of the universities that are here with us, to the CEOs that are here with us, General Director Ntate Radikonzana, Head of Department, you are also here, our special advisors, all leaders of political parties, to our partners and our stakeholders that are here, ladies and gentlemen, Dumelang. Before I can even start to say something, Minister, ke batla fela that you should understand the situation that we are in the Free State. In fact, we are in trouble. But I just have a hope. Indeed, the fourth industrial revolution is going to assist us to solve some of the trouble that we are having. You know, Free State is having a population of 2.8 million. And out of a population of 2.8 million, the new statistic shows that 1.7 are youth. It means this province is a youthful province. And out of 2.8 million, 41.6% are unemployed people. But it's a recent statistic, out of 1.7 million youth, 48% are unemployed youth. In the Free State, my province. And that 48 million equals to 840,000 young people of the Free State that are unemployed. 840 young people in the Free State are unemployed. In the Free State, out of 2.8 young population, 1.125 million, they depend on the grant. It means almost half of 2.8 baphila ka di grant. And you know, Minister, and you have heard, Huri, out of all the provinces, Free State is the highest with unemployment. And the GDP of the Free State is amongst the lowest. So that is why our forecast is nothing else except employment. Because we are worried about these 840 young people who are not employed, who ban the drugs and nyaupe are busy busy employing our youth and they are busy destroying our youth, and we are worried that if we are not going to do something, kasipiti, we are going to be in trouble. And I'm sure you know exactly who this 840, they are indeed the future of this province. That is why I'm always appealing, not to say I am discriminating, to say to all my HODs, anything, everything, they must start with Free Staters, because Free State is the highest with unemployment. Isn't Kinyataba Gauteng, Kinyataba KZN, but I'm saying we are in trouble. We must do something very fast before we are too late. So I'm sure, and I know, and you have heard today that we have 3 universities. We have professors, they are here. We have doctors, they are here. Free State in education, we don't have problems. Yesterday I talked to one of my students who is somewhere in Cape Town, and I said, how are you here? He said, yes, I'm here. Why? He said, I want to be part and parcel of the people that are pushing the country forward. I'm here to make sure that even we are the highest in unemployment, but we must assist, we must push the country forward. I am here to come and make sure that Free State to push the country forward. That young boy, Ulam Papa Misa, and say, then we must come and work very, very hard today. So Banabak, here is 4th Industrial Summit. 20 years to come, some of us will not be here. But what we are doing today, we are doing it for you. But what we are planning today, we are planning it for you. There is no way that we are going to dodge the 4th Industrial Summit. You must understand it now. You must start now to be trained. Le tshwanela go qala hona jwale hore le kenelle ho yona, so that in future you must know exactly what is it that is going to happen. And I'm happy that in my State of the Province address I announced the intention of the Free State government to hold the summit, and I'm glad that all stakeholders have heeded the call. At the beginning of this year, I met with young people from various sectors in agriculture, mining, information and communication technology, as well as the creative industries. They expressed great concern about the state of our economy and lack of opportunities. And they said to me, we want to be part of everything. So, Nestela is here, the champion of this. She is here. So, Ibam Party and Waluna. And I'm happy. I also want to express my heartfelt gratitude to our President, His Excellency, President Ndate Cyril Ramaphosa, for establishing the 4th Industrial Revolution Commission. As the Free State Province, we will indeed support the President's 4IR in all our initiatives and programs. We will be there. We will support him. Free State. Date is now. It is in your hands. It is up to you. Time has come, my children. for you to be the creators of the job, not to be the job seekers. Time has come for you, my children, to create opportunities. The future is in your hands. It is up to you to build the Free State you want. Ntwena handlentle ke ya lona. Hashtag build the Free State you want. But I do have a surprise for you. Khadisha, before I introduce my minister, Eke Mahatanga Piloka Kaufela, very young, very intelligent, very energetic, very committed, always happy. But before I introduce her, we are not just talking, we are not just doing the summiting, but we are doing actions. Immediately, something must happen with immediate effect. Can my MECs please join me? Khadisha, can you invite our international investors? Can my MECs please? Minister, can you join us with my MECs?
One at a time, but you stand.
Yes.
Sign over there.
Yes.
Thank you, Premier. So I'm going to ask our investors and our partners to introduce their commitment to the Free State Province. So at this moment, I'd like to call the CEO of Renogen, Mr. Stefano Morani, the MEC of Economic Small Business Development and Environmental Affairs, MEC Makalo Mahale, and our Premier to sign an MOU, and I think the CEO of Renogen will outline his pledge and commitment to the province. CEO, if I can give you 2 minutes to explain what this MOU means, yourself and Premier and the MEC will sign the commitment, and we will do the rest thereafter. Thank you.
MEC, thank you very much. Honourable Minister, Honourable Premier, Honourable MECs and distinguished guests, all protocols observed. So it's indeed very fitting and a privilege to be standing here in front of you today, for several reasons, and I'll unpack them as I go. But I had the distinct privilege a few weeks ago to meet His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, in which Renogen pledged to invest 750 million rand into South Africa. The reason that I feel so privileged, and that one of the reasons that it's so fitting that I'm here today, is because that investment is going to come directly here into the Free State, in between the towns. Viva Free State! That's pretty cool, actually. So it's being invested in between the towns of Welkom and Virginia, and it'll create a cumulative of over 400 jobs during the construction period, and is likely to add as much as 11% of the GDP to the Machubeng municipality. But if I may be humoured, I really need to explain the genesis of what this project is, because it's so critical to the central theme of today, being 4IR. And if the Honourable MEC will just humour me a little bit. So, 2 billion years ago, one of the largest asteroids ever to have hit the planet hit in the Free State. This asteroid created an enormous crater, but what's important is that this asteroid brought all of the planet's platinum. And this is why South Africa is such a platinum giant, is because it was that asteroid that brought all the platinum. But in addition to the platinum, it also brought things like uranium, thorium, quite a bit of gold, and a number of other things, which is why mining has been so rich over here. It also laid the foundation to produce a natural gas field that is so unique, that is a one-of-a-kind globally. It is a renewable gas field. The gas never stops flowing. It's produced by bacteria underground. That's never been discovered before. This is a gas field which has been blowing gas for 75 years and will probably outlive all of us, our children and our grandchildren. And we're now building South Africa's very first liquefaction facility to produce LNG and to kickstart South Africa's LNG economy. And if you thought that that was great, there's another part to the story which is even better. So LNG, aside from being the fuel of the future, produces 90% less CO2 than diesel does when you use it in vehicles. It's much cleaner, it's lighter, it is the fuel of the future. But what's also inherent in our gas field is an element called helium. So now to set the scene, in 2018, President Trump signed a declaratory order declaring helium to be the second most critical element to US national security. And then shortly after that, they announced that their strategic reserve, which is the biggest supplier of helium globally, ran out. That's it. It's finished. There's no more. There's only the little bits that some of the gas fields produce, and then all of the helium is gone. Now, picture for a second a world without laptops, fiber optic cables, satellites, GPS, cell phones, MRI machines, CAT scans. All of that disappears without helium, which is why it's so fitting that we have the richest helium concentration on the planet right here in the Free State. This discovery was so important that the United States government wrote us a check for 600 million rand to build this project, to bring the helium online. We went to Australia and we raised a further 100 million rand over there from investors on that side to get this project online. Helium is indispensable. Now, when you consider that there's a 30% gap between supply and demand, you add to that the fact that concentrations in the world vary between 0.1%, which is considered good, and 0.35%, which is considered to be your rock star. The US has a concentration of 0.35%, and they are the rock stars. Our last well that we drilled, 11%. We have a concentration 10,000 times higher than Qatar's. And they are the second biggest producer of helium on the planet. So standing here today at the 4IR conference, pledging to invest 750 million rand and create jobs here in the Free State, all of this is obviously as a result of the fines and mainly as a result of the asteroid, but also as a result of all of the good people in this area that have worked towards the culmination and the realization of this project. So a big congratulations to the Free State and Premier, we're pledging to make this investment in your province. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. The project has already started. The project has already started. Viva Free State, viva! Thank you very much.
Can we just have a photo session whilst this MOU is being signed before I call upon our next investors?
The second one, Khadija, why don't you call the second one? Okay.
Whilst the photographers do their business, I'd like to call upon Professor Alfred Ngowi of the Central University of Technology on behalf of Professor Henk de Jager, as we will sign the Memorandum of Agreement between the Free State Provincial Government and the Central University of Technology on the Innovation Hub. Young people, it is a hub to commercialize all of your ideas and your creativity, and Free State Provincial Government is investing in this hub whilst we call upon partners, industry and business to join us in the financial contribution of this investment. It is in the Acutus Pty Limited, so it will be audited, but I think that the professor will outline the terms and conditions of this Memorandum of Agreement and what it would mean to the Central University of Technology and the province.
Okay, thank you, MEC. The two parties, that is the Free State Provincial Government and the Central University of Technology, wish to conclude this agreement, whereas the Free State Provincial Government endeavors to promote and support the innovation and technological landscape of the Free State Province. It also endeavors to increase awareness of utility and impact of innovation and technologies in stimulating economic growth in the province. It also endeavors to deploy technologies that will enhance a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship among the youth. On the other hand, the CUT recognizes its responsibility to advance and support the regional and provincial socio-economic development needs through social and technological innovations. It also identifies itself as a critical player and a partner in the advancement and the use of innovation and technology in supporting economic growth. CUT also has the capacity and expertise to assist in driving forward the Free State growth and development strategy. Now, it is therefore agreed that the Free State Provincial Government will provide an amount of 5 million rands to the Central University of Technology for use in the advancement and promotion of innovation and technology development by the Central University of Technology for the benefit of the Free State Province. Thank you.
It will now be signed by our Premier, Sissi Ntombela, and Professor Alfred Ngowi. The next Memorandum of Agreement will be between the Free State Provincial Government, the Central University of Technology, and the Hub for Innovation and New Knowledge Proprietary Limited, which is called THINK. And I'd like to call upon Mr. Tami, who is the Director of the Hub for Innovation and New Knowledge Proprietary Limited, to come to the stage and join us in signing this MOU with our Premier, Sissi Ntombela, and Professor Alfred Ngowi. You may read out your passage.
What's the time? Good morning or afternoon, whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Tami, and I'm with my partner here, Rachel Dikwebe. In reciting this agreement here, it says the parties wish to conclude an agreement based on the following. Whereas the Free State Provincial Government endeavors to promote and support the innovation and technological landscape of the Free State Province, and whereas the FSPG endeavors to increase awareness of utility and impact of innovation and technologies in stimulating economic growth in the province, it also endeavors to deploy technologies that will enhance a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship among the youth. The CUT recognizes its responsibility to advance and support the regional and provincial socio-economic development needs through social and technological innovations. And as THINK, as the only company specializing in e-waste management within the Free State Province, and whereas the CUT has the capacity to expertise, to incubate and upskill THINK into a more viable business venture. Now it is therefore agreed that the FSPG will support CUT and THINK in their efforts to grow and sustainably by, among other things, review Free State government policy to ensure that electronic waste is disposed of responsibly and environmentally sustainably. Signed and made effective on the 28th day of November 2019, and I'll be signing it in my capacity fellow director. very much.
Last surprise is between a memorandum of understanding between MyFin